Okay, so for some reason this ice machine appears to be never harvesting. Oh wow, it's even got ice down in here. So the pump is stuck. Interesting. Well, I guess we'll see what's going on with that. So this ice machine's about to go into a harvest. You can see that is actually rotating around, but I had to jumper out the switch here. The cube size is correct, but no matter what, it would never cycle into a harvest cycle properly. That's due to a bad cube size controller. How this is set up, the ice machine makes ice until the probe on this gets cold enough. And I was measuring the temperature up here, and it seems like when it gets down to about 0 degrees, that's when the ice is about the right size. But regardless of where I had this turned, we were not getting our voltage across there. Once it does close and send voltage across, sends power up to this motor on those two terminals there, and the motor runs a set amount of time to finish out the freeze sequence, and then it hits a harvest, which we can actually just accelerate it a little bit. Once it does that there, now it's sending hot gas on this line and melting the ice off of the evaporator plates. So we'll see our temperature will come up dramatically on this line, of course, and the cubes will actually start dropping. See, it's still rotating. That's the harvest time, and you can adjust that by loosening this screw and changing how that is set there. Seems like this has been about right, so I don't think we're going to mess with that. And we can probably take that off again, but might actually just put in a standard thermostat. If you have one that can close on temperature fall as well as temperature rise, then in theory you could just use this as a cube size controller. I just have to get it adjusted properly, which you have to do with a commercial one anyway, so I might just use this. So there's the cube size probe, and you can see it lives. There's a little soldered tube right there, and that's what it gets stuck into. So I'm thinking we'll just put the bulb for our thermostat right on top of this pipe here and get that tucked around good, and that should work fine, really. So I've just got the probe gonna ride against the pipe here. I'll get it zip tied in good. It is held out a little bit by the bracket for the expansion valve, but that's okay. We'll just get it adjusted to where it's harvesting at the right time. And I use the close on temperature fall terminals there and there. Goes through here, through there, and hooks up where the original terminals were hooked up there. So now we just got to get it adjusted properly. Got it set to around 0, and here earlier I wrote 1 degree correct, roughly, for what this temperature should be before it's cycling into a harvest cycle. So now we just adjust it. So now I'm just observing the temperature of the suction line going back and observing the size of the cubes here to kind of get an idea of what temperature this needs to be set in order to harvest properly. Once that thermostat actually closes, we should just kind of see it start rotating that around. If I rotate this up, we should be able to hear it click. Right there around 20 degrees. So where it's measuring, there's some temperature loss between how well we're reading the temperature here and how well that probe is reading everything. So we might have to have this turned up to more like around 10 or something in order to it to be right. So it seems to be doing its thing now. Finishing out that freeze cycle. Here's what I kind of wrote on here. Seems like it has to be set around 15 to shut off the right temperature on the line, which is like, you can see it's running 3 below now. That's because it's halfway through its freeze cycle on the timer, but getting pretty close to harvesting. I think it's gonna work swell. set a little more like 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there. But they'll figure it out. Of course, it'll probably be me working on this again next time, so. Alright, so I just heard it cycle into a harvest cycle. So I'm just gonna make sure that the cubes it's dropping are the appropriate size, but really, I think that's gonna work just fine using that thermostat. That's nice because it's a thermostat that I actually carry in stock. We don't have to wait a couple weeks for it to come. And it's actually like $120 cheaper than the direct replacement. So I really don't see an issue with using it. And got them up and running immediately instead of like in a week. And no return call, so that's also nice. Cube size. Catching ice cubes is really hard. Yeah, those look good. A little cloudy, but nice. They're maybe a little thin there, but that kind of looks like how the evaporator was running. Oh, look at that. That tube is not supposed to be disconnected. We better hook that back up.